Ryzen 7 and Ryzen 5 with Vega muscle into Intel's mobile space. AMD just opened a new beachhead in its war with Intel by launching two Ryzen laptop CPUs it claims with being the world's fastest processor for ultrabooks. The two chips launched this morning both chips are rated at 15-watt TDP, which puts them in direct battle with the Core i5 and Core i7 CPUs used in the vast majority of laptops. It's mostly clock and graphics compute unit differences that set a Ryzen 5 laptop chip apart from a Ryzen 7 APU. While the compute side is based on the same microarchitecture AMD uses for its celebrated Ryzen and Ryzen Threadripper CPUs, AMD has made some tweaks aimed at maximizing mobile performance. Precision Boost 2 builds on the original Precision Boost introduced with Ryzen. Its opportunistic algorithm tries to run the clock speeds at higher levels based on the CPU's temperature, current use, and workload, working in 25 MHz increments. Mobile XFR focuses just on thermals and will give the clocks a 100 MHz boost if the laptop's cool enough to handle it. In practical terms, AMD said in a 5-minute workload, mobile XFR can increase performance up to 23%. Laptops must meet the company's cooling criteria to support mobile XFR. AMD claims the chip is dramatically faster compared to 7th generation Bristol Ridge APUs. The company had projected a 50% bump in CPU performance and a 40% bump in GPU performance with 50% less power. Based on the company's testing, the CPU has overachieved. It's 200% faster in CPU operations and 128% faster on the GPU side, while using 58% less power. AMD said the new mobile Ryzen APU far exceeded its target goals. Beating up on a Bristol Ridge isn't the goal, and of course, AMD said it's the combination of the performance Ryzen cores and the performance Vega cores that gives Ryzen 7 and Ryzen 5 a boost over Core i7 and Core i5 in laptops. AMD showed off several performance results against Intel's older 7th generation Core i7 Kaby Lake as well as the brand new 8th generation Kaby Lake refresh. In single-threaded CPU tests using Cinnamon R15, the Ryzen 7 7200U nearly ties with a 7th generation Core i7 to 7500U and falls just a skosh behind the new 8th generation Core i7 to 8550U. On multi-threaded tests, the results AMD shows from the quad-core Ryzen 7 simply crushes dual-core Core i7 to 7500U in an HP NVX 360 and surprisingly smokes the new quad-core Core i7 to 8550U in an Acer Spin 5. We'll say that again, Ryzen 7, on paper, looks even faster than Intel's brand new 8th gen Core i7 chips. Perhaps even more troubling for Intel, AMD officials told World the performance results it's showing off are not the best possible. Both Ryzen 7 and Ryzen 5 are capable of running at higher speeds if a laptop's cooling is up to snuff. It's worth noting that the laptops AMD is using for comparison are convertible laptops, which typically run slightly slower than a traditional laptop. But, AMD told World, so is HP's new NVX 360, which should be the first laptop sanctioned to support mobile XFR. Its performance with mobile XFR will be higher than what you see below. AMD says its new Ryzen laptop CPU gives Intel's 7th and 8th chips a tough day. AMD also broke out several other benchmarks to show off Ryzen 7. In PowerA, Mark 10, and TrueCrypt, Ryzen 7 is in front. Only in Passmark 9 does the newest Intel chip take the lead, but not by much. AMD also compared the performance of the new Ryzen 7 using 4 additional benchmarks to show it wasn't a fluke. Ryzen's other secret is GPU performance. With 10 Vega compute units under the hood, the results are what you'd expect compared to Intel's good enough integrated graphics performance. In gaming, for example, AMD says the Ryzen 7 smokes the integrated graphics in Intel's 15-watt chips in the 3D Mark x SPI benchmark. In the same test, Ryzen 7 actually keeps pace with a GeForce GTX 950M in an ultra-thin laptop. The Vega cores in the new Ryzen 7 dole out performance equal to GeForce 950 chip in actual games. AMD said to expect playable frame rates in several popular titles depending on the demands. League of Legends, for example, can push 59 FPS at 1920 x 1080 on medium, AMD said. Overwatch will need to be run at 1280 x 720 on low to hit 66 FPS. You can expect pretty reasonable gaming performance out of the new Ryzen 7 and Ryzen 5 laptop CPUs. For an ultra-portable laptop, battery life is a critical question. Although AMD hasn't published results versus Intel-based laptops, it has against a previous AMD 7th Gen APU, and the results are much improved. Using a baseline of a 50 Wh battery, AMD says the biggest improvement over an AMD FX 9800P chip comes in VP9 playback. VP9 is an advanced video codec, which goes from 4.5 hours to 9.2 hours. That efficiency, though, is due to improved hardware codec support in the chip. Ryzen has dedicated circuits in its media engine, while the FX 9800P is likely